one which I hope we won't have to use a lot in crisis management, but one on which unfortunately we've had to deal with many crises as public administration, as countries, as a region over the last years. This is a topic that is, needless to say, very relevant and unfortunately becoming more relevant, but also one that is very close to our hearts for several reasons. On the one hand, as a government, it is extremely important for us that we increase both the efficiency but also the transparency of public governance. Good governance is a key principle, and this, of course, depends not only on the willingness of politicians, political leaders to do it, but also on the people who are actually delivering services day to day. Over the last 3 years as a government, we have, one of the ways in which we can do this, of course, is digitalization. Over the last 3 years, we have added more than 175 online services through eKosova, our online government platform, and over 300 in total if we include also services that are being provided through alternative platforms. These services include areas such as civil status, certificates, taxes for properties or businesses, health services such as choosing a family doctor or electronic vaccination passports, various benefits and subsidy schemes for citizens and for businesses, etc. As the Ministry of Economy, I would like to share a few words on one successful example, which actually demonstrates very well and is related to both of your topic. On the one hand, digitalization and having a government from the people for the people, and on the other hand, using a crisis as an opportunity. As you know, the energy crisis was one of the top priorities of the government, became so for all of our governments in recent years due to global market conditions. And what we did as a government, one of the key measures that we took is to promote energy efficiency as a means of reducing consumption. Because this needed to be, the funds needed to be dispersed quickly, but also we needed to make sure that we have, on the other hand, transparent and rigorous procedures, not only to ensure that there is no misuse of funds and that the funds are being used for the right purpose, but also it's extremely important to also maintain and increase trust in institutions so that everyone also is clear in that there cannot be misuse. Digitalization was, of course, a big part of the solution in this respect. We provided this service through our online platform eKosova, and over 30,000 families and businesses applied through this platform in procedures that were very quick, easy, transparent, which made it also easier for the staff then who had very well prepared cases to deal with by the end. This was an extremely successful measure for several reasons. One was that it was designed at a time when the energy crisis hit, when energy bills were a concern and security of energy supply was a key concern in everyone's minds. This meant that people were very attentive to what we had to say. On the other hand,
I consider this community to be one of the most resilient yet most kindest communities out there. So in my presentation, I'm going to share how I've leveraged some of the small and big crises to create momentum. Mr. Rizvanolli was talking about the governance, the good governance, the people, the agility, and most of the times, as you all have seen, and I'm going to do a lot of preaching to the choir because you all have experienced some of it. Yes, crisis presents an opportunity to mobilize and to create momentum, but it is usually the exercise and untangling of the system, the bottlenecks, simplifying the processes, and then ultimately the people and empowering of the people that, you know, creates for the longer lasting waves and the opportunity. All right, and I also set Mikey up too really well because I'm gonna introduce his story, which also was a great role model for me and what we've done in the state of California. So, but before I go into what we've done and how our crisis catalyzed some great movement forward, I'm gonna just talk about my why, my North Star, and I haven't shared this story a lot in Balkans. I do share it in the United States. I was a part of a leadership program. They asked me, put 1 minute story where you talk about your why and who you are and what's driving you. So this is the story I told. I was 16 years old when war destroyed Kosovo. Thousands of people were killed and hundreds of thousands of refugees fled to neighboring countries. Many of them arrived in my home country, Montenegro, overcrowding my little town, Ulcinj, on the Adriatic coast. It was filled with the throngs of desperate people looking for help. For them, everyday comforts that we take for granted, like safe place to sleep, consistent sources of food, and warm clothes were dire issues. My sister and I organized a group of students that worked with the city and local businesses to donate food and hygienic supplies and find shelter. During their time of need, we wanted to provide comfort and hope. This drawing by 10-year-old Kosovar girl was given to my sister and I to say thank you. To this day, this girl's drawing reminds me that when community comes together to solve problems, everything is possible. Community collaboration, empathy for others, and human-centered approaches to solving problems have been at the core of my mission. So I wanted to share this story with you. I am a passionate public servant and bureaucracy hacker, and all of you who are contributing to this space, I think to the minister in this community for putting you in this tech park, possible, even in the midst of all of your crises, you were able to deliver so many things for the people. So our shared purpose to make government work well for everyone, while often very challenging, is, I believe, the most rewarding and the most meaningful mission that anyone can have. And throughout my journey as the passionate public servant and a bureaucracy hacker, I had the privilege to partner with government leaders across the world. In California state government, open data was the catalyst and the tip of a spear, and how we are changing culture and how government works. And so the small and big wins of our open data movement paved the way and gave us some credibility, then dedicated budget, enabling us to launch 2 startups, Office of Innovation and Office of Digital Services, that was charged with transforming.
I'm going to keep the camera guys busy, I guess. I worked in the Obama administration for about 2.5 years. While I was there, we created what was called the U.S. Digital Service. We hired a couple hundred people. We sent teams to do projects which were similar in style to healthcare.gov into, I don't remember, 18, 20 federal agencies, something like that. And some of them did one project, some of them did more than one, it depended. Since leaving the government, I take a few of those people and we created a private consulting firm, and now we do the same type of thing for money for both private customers and for governments, as the case may be. We've had about half of each. So through doing all of this for 10 years, we've done, I've been close to maybe 30 to 50, it depends on what you want to count, 30 to 50 projects about the size of healthcare.gov. And we've learned a couple of things that we share as much as we can, but we share them and people mostly don't listen because it isn't what they want to hear. So I'll do that right now, and then you can ask questions in the fireside chat portion. So one of those things is that it is clear that every system that matters, that you care about, every process that the government is doing, is a hybrid. It is both a human and computer system. They're intertwined. There's no process that matters that's being done entirely by people without using computers at all. There's no process that's being done entirely by computers without humans being involved. And you might think, people hear this and they might think that, like, I'm talking about like the data entry, the call centers and stuff like that. That's true, but almost every time, I promise that besides that, there are still people that are performing load-bearing functions of the overall system. There's always two parts that don't work together, that require a person to go each day and download from one system and upload to another one. We find that every time. Or there's a part where a decision has to be made, and for statutory reasons or something, that has to be made by a person who has to at least sign off on it. There are always people involved. Why this matters is because the people part of the system are extraordinarily resistant to change. You know this. Everybody knows this. But the problems frequently get kind of garbled into where we think that the computers are the problem. That's how we usually get involved. People like me, I used to work at Google, and that's how I ended up working on healthcare.gov. So people that are technologists usually get involved because there's a belief that the problem is the computers, because very often it started with a project that was like a modernization or a redesign or something like that. And when it doesn't work, it's usually the computers that are blamed. But I promise the computers are very easy to change. The computer just runs its software. We're not talking about weird AI stuff right now, just regular old computers. The computer just runs its program. And if you give it a new program, it runs the new program. It starts tomorrow. It's not a problem. It doesn't remember how it used to do it. It isn't mad that you changed how it's doing its things. It doesn't have kids whose childcare schedule has to be changed. It doesn't have little baby computers to worry about. It's very easy. It's not like that dealing with the people at all. So what we found through these 30 to 50 projects is the thing that everybody knows, you all know it, but people resist, is that most of the time, a big organization, you cannot change its behavior. You can't change a single person's behavior most of the time. Any therapist will tell you this is true. If a person has problematic behaviors or habits or anything, and you want them to change it, it doesn't matter what you want.